The following program from Bears Barroom Radio Network may contain language not suitable for all audiences.
What are you waiting for?
It's a celebration. Everybody just won't do. Let's get this started. No more hesitation. Everybody wants to party with you. Come join the party. It's a celebration. Everybody just won't do. Let's get this started. No more hesitation. Everybody wants to party with you. Boy, you got it. It's a celebration. Everybody just won't do. Let's get it started. No more hesitation. Everybody wants to party with you.
Bears fans! Welcome from our virtual barroom that extends throughout the entire globe. My name is Aldo Gandia. I'm going to be your master of ceremonies tonight for this party where we go through the Chicago Bears 2019 schedule, which has just been released officially by the NFL and has leaked out throughout the entire day. So for many of you who have been following social media all day, you know what we're about to talk about. But for some of you, you're getting the first wind of who the Chicago Bears will play and when, and we'll detail the entire schedule, and we'll also have analysis of our competitors' schedules. What kind of week are they having prior to facing the Chicago Bears? So we've got a lot of good stuff, and it's going to be done by Shayne, the smartest man in the barroom, Danny Shimon, we're still looking for a nickname for Danny, and Ryan Badgley is joining us for updates on what's going on with the other teams in the NFL who are facing the Chicago Bears and any other important tidbit. Michael Halatek of Tick Splits will join us for the last few minutes of the show. He is going to kind of give us an indication on what tickets are going to be special gets, and also maybe provide a little bit of a historical perspective on the schedule given his knowledge of the Chicago Bears. We've got a lot to get through tonight, and we've got about 60 minutes to do it, so let's get started. Shayne Marsaw, tell me your mood right now.
I mean, I'm excited. Yeah, I like to see, when they're going to be and stuff like that, but I'm not a huge schedule guy that goes nuts and is, sitting right there waiting for the absolute second for the times to drop. I mean, anything Bears related, yeah, I obviously get excited about, but where my main 99.9% of my focus is right now. It's more on next week. So this is just a nice little deflection to help us pass the time, but I know a lot of people, it affects them a lot more that go to the games and are traveling abroad and stuff like that. So I definitely do understand the hype about it.
Yeah, it seems like the NFL could do a better job of kind of spacing some of the things out in the offseason because this right on the heels of the NFL draft, to me, kind of dampens the suspense a little. If they would have announced the schedule maybe a month ago, it would have gotten a lot more better reaction. But nonetheless, the reaction has been strong. We know that the NFL Network has a show releasing the schedule, and we're doing our little show here. Danny, what are your feelings about the release of the schedule?
I'm pretty much in line with Shayne there. I mean, it's exciting to see the dates and the times, just so you kind of can make plans if you're going to be traveling for the game. And just one thing I like to see is like the pitfalls of the schedule. Like where are they going to have some issues where they might have some tough games in a row, so on and so forth. And I like to see also the times, day games, night games, so on and so forth. But yeah, I mean, in terms of marking off wins and losses and all that stuff, I mean, everything changes so rapidly. Like, a team that could be good this past season could be bad next year, and you think it might be a tough matchup when it's actually going to be an easier matchup. So, but yeah, it's exciting just to kind of have everything laid out in front of you, and now you know who the opponents are, when they're going to happen, and just some games you can highlight to say, all right, will I make it to this game, or this could be a key game here possibly, in the season. So stuff like that.
And like I mentioned earlier, Ryan Badgley is with us. The Badge, you've been keeping an eye on the other team's schedules. But before we get commentary from you on that, tell me what your feelings are about the Bears' 2019 schedule.
Yeah, I'm excited, Aldo. I like the draft, but this to me, I'm super excited for the schedule release, just because now I can talk a little bit of smack to those rival Packer fans that are in my office that. That's all I hear. Oh, you guys had one good year. Well, hey, you know what? This is about to be a run for us. So I've been chopping it up with them here for the last week or so, ready to get this schedule out to see where we'll stand.
Excellent. Well, I am working from the released schedule from earlier in the day, so it's the unofficial schedule. So if I make any mistakes along the line here, Badge, since I know you've got your hands on the official schedule, correct me. And so I'm going to begin by talking about the opener, which we've all known about, September 5th, Thursday, September 5th. The Bears will be playing the Green Bay Packers, and that game will be at Soldier Field, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the NFL and the 100th anniversary of the Chicago Bears. I know you, Shayne, are super psyched about this game already. Any new thoughts on this now that it's official?
I think you said it. We kicked it off the same way last year. Now the young rookie head coach gets to come to Soldier Field and get his ass kicked. And we're going to go out and hopefully hopefully Coach Nagy will tell these guys, hey, we saw what happened last year. The game is not over after the first half. It's very important. You got to go out there and play 4 quarters. We talked a couple of months ago having a motto for this 2019 Chicago Bears, and it can be #finish, or we're not done, or something like that, just to get these guys to remember. And yeah, you go out there and you see everything that's going on up in Wisconsin with all the drama that's going there, and just like Badge said, let them deal with it. This is them now. We're sitting up. We're on the throne right now of the North, and they're coming for us. And I know everybody's been talking about it being a tougher schedule. That's what I want. I want it because it's going to be good for our quarterback. It's going to be good for this young team. And with Green Bay coming to town, what better way to kick off your season than smacking those guys again?
Danny, the Bears beat the Packers at Soldier Field close to the end of the season, and they blew a lead in that game, and they had to hold off Aaron Rodgers' comeback attempt, which was great for their confidence. But do you have any concerns at all about the fact that a depleted Packers team did come back on the Bears and tied it up in the third quarter?
Well, I'm always concerned when I'm facing Aaron Rodgers. He might be a jerk, but he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. So it's always a concern going up against one of the better quarterbacks. But what I like about facing Green Bay week 1 is not only the whole hype and drama of it being Thursday night. It's now you're coming in as division champs, and Coach Nagy has been stressing to these guys, you guys were the hunter, now you're being the hunted. And what a way to just kind of get their attention, get them hyped up, and get the season off to a great start by beating not only your division rival, but the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. So I think that's a good way to start off the season, get off on the right foot. And if these games are always momentum builders for me. You get a good win, a big win opening day, and then just keep rolling, keep stacking wins from there. So I think it's nice to have a big game week 1. You could have been facing the Redskins, for example, and Bears could have come in cocky or overconfident and whatnot. Washington coming off of a subpar season, probably won't have Alex Smith for the season, so they might take them a little lightly and could get caught there. But with Green Bay coming in, Aaron Rodgers, all the hoopla and all the drama around that, I think it's a good first game for them.
Badge, the following week we travel to the Denver Broncos. Who do the Broncos play in their opening week?
Yeah, so they're traveling to Oakland week 1, host us at home, and then they've got to go to Green Bay that following week. So, them having to travel week 1 to face the Raiders, having us come in after that we've got a 10-day break there, Aldo. So playing that Thursday night game, traveling to Denver, not to talk about the preseason from last year, but we had a pretty good showing out there in practices against the Broncos last year. So whether or not that won't compare really to this year actually playing them in a live game, but a tough test for the Broncos. I want to SZZ, Steve Zimmer, posted a little something in our chat earlier that the Broncos are something like 21-1 in their first 2 games over the last 3 seasons or something like that. I not to quote him directly because I'm sure I probably messed that up, but so it'll be a tough test, definitely. But we've got a little bit more rest than the Broncos are going to have. And
Shayne, this will be an opportunity to face our old defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. What do you think about that game? Do you think that Fangio is going to have some kind of advantage over the Bears, knowing Matt Nagy in the offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. He's gonna know exactly what number 10 likes to do and what he doesn't like to do from seeing it week in and week out in Chicago, and I think that'll be a big part of it. But at the same time, Nagy's going to know what Vic's strong suits are, and I think that the ultimate wild card here for both teams is, let's not forget, it's Joe Flacco, who's a statuesque guy, and you're bringing in Khalil Mack and Leonard Floyd and Eddie Goldman and Roquan Smith to attack under Pagano, and like I said, don't forget about Chuck Pagano in this whole thing, because there's a lot of gamesmanship there. This is going to be like a little mini playoff game where Chuck can make his statement, say, you know what, Vic, you left us. This is my defense now, and I'm going to put my stamp on it right here in your home field, and we'll go from there. So I think these are these little victories along the way that I think that Matt Nagy needs to play with his team. They can respect the hell out of Vic when they're not playing him, and when they are playing him on the field in week 2, they can go there and hang one up on him.
So game 1, Packers on a Thursday, September 5th. 10 days later, the Bears are in Denver to play the Broncos and their old defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. And then 8 days later, it's a Monday night affair, the second primetime game in 3 weeks. The Bears at the Redskins. Danny, you talked a little bit about the loss of Alex Smith. What do you think about this Redskins team? Is this going to be a formidable opponent for the Bears?
Well, if Colt McCoy is their quarterback, I'd say no. But that's still yet to be determined. With the draft coming up, rumors are rampant that the Redskins are, doing a lot of homework on the draft-eligible quarterback. So who knows? They might have a rookie starting for all we know. But yeah, I mean, if either Case Keenum, who's their second quarterback on the roster there, or Colt McCoy, I'm really not worried in terms of what the Redskins present. But just if I can quickly go back to Shayne's point on the Broncos, sure. My biggest fear is what Fangio knows about the defense of the Bears and how to attack them, because I think Nagy already has will have a game plan in mind to kind of attack Fangio's defense. But I wonder how Fangio is going to have his offensive coordinator attack our defense, because he knows our defense inside and out. He knows our players' weaknesses and strengths. So that's going to be a key matchup for me on that side of the ball as well.
Tell me a little bit about the Redskins schedule, Badge. What are they coming off of?
Yeah, so they're week 1. They're on the road in Philly. Then they're home against Dallas for a 1:00 game, and then they host us on Monday night. So they've got a little bit longer, an extra day off in there. And yeah, that's kind of my thought as well, Shayne. I don't see the Redskins being much of a contender in that NFC East at all. And it only gets harder from them there, because after we leave, they've got the Giants and then the Patriots. So tough road for the Skins.
Okay. Now, September 29th, the Bears will play the Vikings at Soldier Field. It'll be their second home game in 4 weeks. And, of course, the Vikings were the defending NFC division champions NFC North division champions, and the Bears dethroned them. So the Vikings will be looking for a little revenge. They've had a little bit of success at Soldier Field, and the Bears broke that last season on a primetime game. Shayne, your thoughts about facing the Vikings the fourth game of the regular season?
It seems like year after year after year, it doesn't matter what Minnesota does, a lot of hype comes along with them. And I know, Aldo, we brought this up last year heading in. I'm not a believer in Minnesota. I'm not scared of their quarterback, Kirk Cousins. Go ahead and show me a big game that the guy has won. And he crumbles. That's why I had to laugh when Michigan State brought him in to talk to his guys before the Final Four game, of all people. Jesus. But I'm just, I think Chicago, I think it's one of those things. That's where I would have loved to have faced Minnesota 2 weeks in a row in the playoffs. I think we are in their head. I think they know that Chicago is legit, and I don't think that they want anything to do with us, especially in Chicago. Yeah, the weather should be nice and everything. I'm just not a believer in that team. They do have some talent there, but Chicago has punched them in the mouth. And for Chicago to go up there last year in Minnesota, when Minnesota had everything on the line, their $84 million guaranteed, contract at quarterback, what did they do? Chicago's backups outplayed their starters in Minnesota, and things like that carry over. Like I said, I'm just not a believer in the Minnesota Vikings. I think Green Bay is much more of a threat than Minnesota is to where Chicago wants to go. But no, I would be betting on Chicago wholeheartedly that weekend.
Excellent. All right, Danny, your thoughts on the Vikings?
Again, I echo what Shayne just says. And unless the Vikings upgrade their offensive line drastically, I think Akeem Hicks, Khalil Mack, and the boys are in their head, and they cannot protect their quarterback. At least they couldn't last year against that front seven of the Bears. So, and then we're talking about Pagano coming in, and the thought is he's going to have a more aggressive attacking style defense. So, again, if Minnesota does not drastically improve their offensive line, I don't see how they can compete against the boys.
Badge, who do the Vikings have the week prior?
So they've got the Oakland Raiders coming in the week prior, so they're home before that. Okay. But that Raiders team, I think could give the Vikings a run for their money. Mm-hmm. Like Shayne, Danny, I echo their statements as well. I just don't. Anything with Kirk Cousins, I'm not sold on.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, speaking of the Raiders, the following week on October 6th, the Bears make that trip to London to play the Oakland Raiders, a noontime game Central Time. I think that's probably 6 p.m. or so local time. It'll be the Bears at Oakland, October 6th in London. Shayne, your thoughts?
It's the Khalil Mack Bowl. You want a guy that's not one guy that you don't want to supply some extra motivation to. Mm-hmm. You saw Khalil Mack sent out the tweet yesterday when I think he finally found out when Chicago is going to play Oakland. He just sent out the little, the eyes emoji, like, here we go. That was one that he circled. And this is not just going to be Khalil Mack. This is going to be an organizational type thing where the entire roster is going to have his back going there, and they're going to want to put one on Gruden. And I honestly think that they're going to. I'm not a big believer in what's going on in Oakland. I don't think, I don't believe in the John Gruden's, let's play football like it's 1998. You're not going to win in the NFL that way. You can't go out there with this, real old school mentality in 2019. And we'll see, they have Mike Mayock up there as Gruden's yes man. But everybody knows that this is Gruden's show with his 10-year contract. But I don't think it's a good matchup for Oakland. Like I said, this Chicago heading into year 2, offense is going to gel a little bit more, and you have that juggernaut on defense led by number 52. And when you want to talk about the dogs are going to come out, other than Berlissimo, that's going to be streaking across the field at that new stadium carrying the Bears barroom flag. I think the other big story is going to be number 52 putting a stamp, that he's he's a Bear and he's not going anywhere anytime soon, and we can send a big thank you to Oakland once again.
Danny, your thoughts on the Raiders Bears in London?
But besides this being the Khalil Mack Bowl, as Shayne put it, this is a matchup that, I'm not going to lie, has me a little bit nervous. I mean, if you look at it right now, Oakland quietly, I think they've had a very, very good offseason. I mean, right away, their receiver position has been totally upgraded with Antonio Brown and Tyrell Williams from the Chargers. And then they got Trent Brown, the left tackle from the Patriots, as a free agent. So, he had his way with Mack last year. Of course, Mack was still injured in that game against New England, so I do understand that part. So if I was the Bears, I'd see to try and shift Mack over across Colton Miller and have him face that guy instead of Trent Brown. But I'm curious to see what kind of team Gordon brings to Oakland and in this case London to see how it's all put together. Because I mean, right now I think they're having a pretty productive off season that is. And I think they're gonna be a pretty formidable team. So I think it should be a good game. Of course, I think the Bears will win, but it's going to be I think a game closer than a lot of us expect.
Okay, well then the following week the Bears will get their bye. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in week 6. The Bears get their bye, and so the first 5 games of the schedule, September 5th, they open up on Thursday against the Green Bay Packers. They then travel 10 days later to the Denver Broncos, and then on Monday night, 8 days later, Washington Redskins, Monday night game. And then they come home to play the Vikings, their second home game, the Packers, of course, the first one. And then they go to London for the October 6th match with the Raiders. And then after the bye, it's back home against the tough New Orleans Saints on October 20th. Badge, who are the Saints playing the week prior?
So they playing the week prior. They are in Jacksonville.
Okay, good.
For a noon kickoff. Jags are kind of up in the air, so it'll be interesting to see. I think New Orleans smokes them, but I think they got a wake-up call coming when they hit Chi-Town.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what I'm interested in these games prior to the Bears game for the opponents is how much distance are they traveling? Do they have a full 7-day rest? Is the competitor a tough, hard-hitting team? Because you'd like to see a banged up team come into Soldier Field and the Bears take advantage, especially the pesky Saints. Shayne, your thoughts on the Saints, October 20th, a afternoon game. And by the way, the schedule so far has not had a regular noon start Central Time. Yeah. This will be the last of a series of games that are off the usual NFL schedule. But Shayne, your thoughts on the Saints?
I look at this as the statement game so far. I mean, I guess Green Bay would be one just because it is your rival and it's kicking off the 100 years and you're the one game to kick off the entire thing. But this is a huge statement game. New Orleans is going to be right back where they were last year. I firmly believe that. Big fan of Drew Brees and Sean Payton, what they're doing down there. We all know the offensive weapons that they have. I'm sure Mike North is going to be wearing his Cam Meredith jersey for this one. But
that's good.
Yeah, this is a game where it's in your house, and these are the games, guys, that we've been waiting for. This isn't going on the road and beating the Arizona Cardinals or beating the Detroit Lions. This is a legit Super Bowl contender that's coming to your house, and you need to make a statement on it. You hear Cam Jordan running his mouth saying that he wants the Bears in week 1 because he doesn't want the weather to be bad. October 20th, chances are the weather's probably not going to be too awful bad, but I don't care about any of that. This is a game that the Bears go, I would make this Zach Miller Day, October 20th.
Nice. Yeah.
Honor him at halftime. Give him that extra momentum. Give him that, we're never going to forget Zach's last game against the Saints. Give him the touchdown ball at the 50-yard line to start the game off. Fire up all the troops and go out there and kick Drew Brees in the mouth. To me, this is a big, big game that you do not want to lose at home. This is the type of game, to me, that can spur on a young team. Mitch can go out there against a first ballot Hall of Famer quarterback across the field and go toe to toe with him, make a statement. this is something that can propel you forward for the rest of the season. So this is the one that I had circled right from Jump Street, October 20th in Soldier Field versus New Orleans. You need to make a statement against these guys at home.
Danny, your thoughts on that Saints offense that, is so incredibly powered, but sometimes doesn't play as well on the road as they do in their hometown?
No, you're exactly right. The Saints on the road, on grass especially, don't scare me as much as they do on home or on the turf. So is this going to be called the Cam Meredith game?
That's that's what Mike North is going to call it.
Yeah, the Cam Meredith game, the Ryan Pace game.
Yeah.
Zach Miller game.
In all seriousness, though, this is going to be, to me, this is a turning point game in this stretch of the schedule, because the next 5 games, the 4 of the opponents are potentially strong opponents. So this is where the part of the schedule where the Bears, coming off that mini bye, if you will, after the London game, they face the Saints as the first game here. So this is a game, another one, just like the Green Bay game, where we said it's a momentum builder, it's a statement game. Shayne, I think, hit it right on the head. The Saints are going to come in as a heavy favorite in terms of the season being one of the favorites for the NFC. So I think this is, assuming everything goes to, as planned, this is going to be one of those big tilts right away where the Bears take on the Saints. And like I said, at home, on grass, the Saints, to me, aren't as powerful as they are at home. Plus, they've lost some offensive firepower as well. They lost the Mark Ingram, the running back. They replaced him with Latavius Murray, who I think is a downgrade. They did add Jared Cook at tight end, which I think is a nice pickup. But still, I mean, until they get a complement to Michael Thomas opposite him, I don't see them being a threat, especially on turf, to the Bears defense. But this is going to be a big game.
The following week, it'll be the LA Chargers coming into Soldier Field, and as I said earlier, it'll be their first noon Central Time game of the season. So it's not until the middle of the season where the Bears get kind of on the same kind of schedule most of the other NFL teams have, and that's going to be a challenge for this team with the different preparation weeks that they're going to have. Tell us, Badge, who the Chargers are playing the following week. Hopefully you're going to tell me that they're only playing on 4 days rest or something like that.
Yeah, so they got the Titans the week before at a 105, but after us, the Packers, they're headed to Green Bay.
Okay.
So a tough little stretch there for the Chargers. The Titans, that's a team you look at last year like, oh man, but lost their offensive coordinator. It'll be interesting to see. And can the Chargers be what they were last year? I know with Phillip Rivers, anytime that guy's on the field, he gives them a chance to win. But it'll be interesting to see coming off. Titans are going to be tough no matter what. Their defense usually is halfway decent. It'll be interesting to see them come in. It's been a long time since the Bears have played the Chargers, I feel.
Yep, indeed. I think you're right. It was that Zach Miller game that I posted that highlight of that one-handed catch. It was a sensational game with Cutler at quarterback then. So it's been, 3-4 years at least. Danny, your thoughts on this Chargers team?
Yeah, like I said earlier, this is going to be that second game of that stretch. It's going to be another tough opponent. And I concur with you, although you mentioned earlier that the Chargers had a history of struggling when they were flying cross country. Well, this is not totally cross country, but this is coming almost cross country here and with that noon game. But I think last year they kind of remedied that. I think what they started doing was they started getting to their the city they were going to play in. I think a couple days earlier, so that their bodies can adjust it to the time zone change and so on and so forth. So I think they kind of found a remedy for that last year. So again, the Chargers are going to be a tough team. That defense is going to be is one of the better defenses in the NFL, in my opinion. So I think that's definitely going to pose a threat to Trubisky and the boys come October 27th.
Shayne, I know that the following week on November 3rd, I know that's when you circled along with probably every other Chicago Bears fan. That's when the Bears travel to Philadelphia to play the Eagles.
Is this the part where I say, fuck you, Mom?
Ouch.
Shayne's
But we
mom
all agree.
is an
So
avid.
this is the Jordan Howard game, right? This is going to be
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that because Cody Parkey probably won't be in the league, I don't think.
Yeah.
So he'll be
Well,
watching along with us.
Heading into Lincoln financially, you look back now, the Bears had, what is it? They're going to be going with Cousins, then Derek Carr, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, and very likely Carson Wentz. I mean, you look at that lineup of quarterbacks. I look at this Philly game, and I don't want to hear anything about Cody Parkey going into this game because you know what? The offense could have played better. The defense could have not given up that 4th and 1 play. And Cody Parkey is no longer here. I don't want to hear anything from the player. Well, we should have had them. They can't. Yeah, we all know Cody Parkey should have kicked the field goal. But you know what? Defense, step up. Don't give up the 4th and goal. Don't do it. Mitch, make some better passes in the first half. Tariq Cohen, do something that game other than, your return. This is a game, yet again, after the Saints game, another one that I obviously had circles for personal reasons, but also as a team. You have to remember this. If I'm Matt Nagy, guys, this is the team right here that came in, that did club dub in your locker room. Alshon was running around like an idiot on your field after the game was over before he dropped the ball in New Orleans and ended their own season. Go out there and put one on them. Kick them in the fucking mouth and take them down on their own turf. That right there is another statement game after your New Orleans game. Things like that matter. You can't go out there and lay down flat to Philly, especially on the road, because you know what? If Philly knocks Chicago out of the playoffs, you go to Philly and you get one rung up on you again, you're probably going to face these guys again in the playoffs at some point. You don't want that hanging over your head. Go out there, win one on the road in Philly, and then we'll see you in the playoffs. And we'll see what happens during the rubber match.
Badge, who do the Eagles have the week prior?
Week prior, they have the Buffalo Bills. So, not a huge test for the Eagles there. I mean, the Bills have made some moves this offseason, bringing in some receivers to help Josh Allen. But, they have a tough defense. I mean, I got to see them live in person last year as the Bears were there. Their defense is tough. But to me, if the Eagles, I mean, this stretch, week 7 through 9, this is a tough stretch for this Bears team, and this is really going to show us what kind of team and what kind of, I love to say this, testicular fortitude these guys have. So tough stretch. I want to whoop the Eagles' ass more than anything. That's a team that's right up there for me with Green Bay that I just can't stand, man.
I guess if they were green, it's distasteful for Chicago.
Well, what's a huge matchup that I'm focused on in that game? I feel pretty confident you put Kyle Fuller on Alshon. He can win most of the matchup. I hate the thought of Deshaun Jackson.
I know.
In that Philly offense again, because Carson Wentz, he hasn't been staying healthy, but that dude can unleash it, and he's got a awesome arm. And Deshaun is a coverage buster. Let's be honest. I don't care if he's 33, 34 years old or not. The kid can still scoot. And I don't know. You're going to have to give some help there, especially if Prince is matched up with him.
Exactly.
I think Amukamara is a weak link on this defense anyway. You're going to have to give him some help because that's going to be a huge red mark for me heading into that matchup.
Danny, any quick thoughts on the Eagles before we move to the Lions November 10th game?
No, I think the guys pretty much summed it up nicely there. It's going to be a game that's really going to test both the offense and the defense. Shane, I agree. With Deshaun Jackson being back in Philly now, the only thing that is a little bit of a positive for the Bears is we got two safeties now that can. Hopefully, Eddie Jackson is healthy and he'll be available in that game. We got two safeties that got some pretty decent coverage, skills with Dix, Hacklin Dix, and Eddie Jackson back there. So hopefully those guys have some over-the-top help there, and we can kind of last to win his big playability there with the Eagles.
Great. All right. As I said, the third consecutive game with normal start time is November 10th against the Detroit Lions. It's also the third NFC North division game, and we know how important those games are. So it's the Lions, November 10th. Badge, tell me who the Lions are coming off of that week. Is it a home or a road game?
They are coming back from Oakland, so they've got a little travel there, which is always nice to see. And, there's the Vikings were playing Oakland as well a little earlier on, so a couple teams coming off facing that Oakland team and then having to deal with the Bears. So, Lions, I think I'm more nervous about the Lions than I am the Vikings, honestly.
Well, the Bears did sweep the Lions last year, Danny. What are your thoughts about this Lions team? Do you agree with Badge that this is a team to be concerned about?
My question is, do you think the coach will still be there, head coach? And now I'm drawing a blank on his name, of course.
Patricia?
Patricia, thank you so much. Yeah, you think he'll still be there at week 10 of the season?
Yeah.
I do.
Absolutely.
So?
Yeah.
Unless they find out that his beard is causing some type of herpes breakout throughout camp, I don't think it's going to happen.
Their GM is from New England. I mean, that's why you see Patricia there. They're
exactly
right. That's what they call New England of the West. Is that what they're being called now? So yeah, I mean, they're definitely a team that has got talent, especially at the receiver position with Kenny Galladay, who I think last year really broke out. Marvin Jones, I think, has always been underrated, and I think a quiet, solid pickup there with Danny Amendola. So they definitely will present a challenge in terms of offensive firepower, but. Again, I think our head coach and our staff in general, I think is better than their staff. So I have a feeling that of the 5-game stretch here with the Saints, Chargers, Eagles, Lions, and Rams, I think this should be the one that we should maybe take care of them pretty handily, I would say, especially since it being at home.
All right, let's move on here because time is a little tight. The following week on November 17th, the Bears have their first Sunday night game. It will be at Los Angeles, so they've got to travel across the country, and the Rams, I'm sure, are going to be thinking about payback after the Bears soundly beat that high-powered Rams offense on a Sunday night game in Chicago in 2018. Shayne, your thoughts about this game?
I think the Rams are soft. And I think Chicago is the perfect team to go in there and punch them in the mouth. And I think the Rams know that. I think that was a huge wake-up call for them last year when they came to Chicago. That was Mitch's first game back. He did a little bit too much trying to, make every single throw. Yeah, I believe he had 3 picks that game. This should have been our second playoff game last year. I was looking so forward to going out there to the Coliseum and playing the Rams. The Rams, the glitz and the glamour of LA, they had all the big names last year. And do they still have talent out there? Yeah, they do. But we've seen it time and time again, a high-octane offense. If you can go out there and make a statement, and it might just take one quarterback sack. It might just take, Akeem Hicks sacking Jared Goff last year. That was one of the hardest hits I saw all year long. And things like that send a message. Eddie Goldman sacking him for the safety. Those things send a message. And the Rams, if you make one play like that, it's going to affect the game. The Rams, like I said, they have a ton of talent. They're not a team that scares me a whole bunch. I think I'm more concerned about Philadelphia than I am the LA Rams. Not a lot of people will agree with me, but that's just the way that I feel about it. We'll see. Like I said, I think it's another game that Chicago can go out there and make a statement moving, on their march to the playoffs.
Danny, you feel the same way about Shayne and that the Eagles are a bigger obstacle for the Bears than the Rams?
I think Eagles are a tougher-minded opponent, and definitely physically they're tougher as well. I do agree with Shayne on that aspect of it. But the one thing here, the one caveat is the Rams will be playing at home. I think Jared Goff was beaten mentally prior to that start of that game because of the weather. And I think he was cold. And then on top of that, the Bears came in and just started attacking them. And I think there's just kind of things just rolled downhill from there. So the one thing is I want to see is this is a team that does have the firepower to stretch the field, like we were talking about earlier with Deshaun Jackson and the Eagles. So we'll see how the Bears defense holds up against them. But it is at home, so that gives me a little bit of a pause here. But in terms of, yes, are they a tough team or soft team, if you will? I do concur there with Shayne. I think they are soft, and that starts up top with their quarterback.
Badge, who do the Rams have the preceding week?
They have the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, tough to say what the Steelers are going to be. I mean, obviously losing AB, a lot of drama there as well. But that's a tough matchup, having to go to Pittsburgh, playing at Heinz Field. It'll be tough for the Rams. And then knowing, I mean, you guys said it, knowing what they dealt with when they faced us last year, you shut down the run game, forget it. Goff, I just don't think he's as good as people think.
I am getting on the horn. Michael Halatek, the marketing director over at Tick Splits. He's going to join the conversation here and take us to the end. Michael, are you on the line?
Hey, Aldo. How's everybody tonight?
Everybody is great. You're on our Bears schedule release show special. With us is Shayne Marsaw, Danny Shimon, and Ryan Badgley. You are on the air. We are going through the schedule week by week. We've just finished the November 17th game at Los Angeles Rams. Before we continue, Michael, give us your overall impressions about this schedule.
Some interesting quirks in this schedule, Aldo. I don't think I have ever seen a schedule where the Bears only play consecutive road games once, consecutive home games once in a season, other than weeks 2 and 3 when they're on the road, and then in the middle of the season when they're at home for back-to-back games. Every single game is alternating home and away. I don't think I've ever seen that, and obviously I don't think I've ever seen a Bears schedule with so many games that are not at a noon kickoff time.
Yeah, we talked about that briefly. That is amazing. I've count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games that are noon kickoffs, and that's probably the lowest number I've ever seen on a Chicago Bears schedule. That's a great point too, Michael, about the home and away travel layout of the schedule. Do you see that as an advantage or disadvantage for the Bears, Michael?
I think that's a distinct advantage. You have your games equally spread out throughout the year. You're not on the road for more than 2 weeks. Have you had a chance, in contrast, to take a look at the Packers schedule?
Well, Ryan Badgley has been our man who has been looking at the Packers schedule. So if you've got a specific question or comment about that schedule, Badgley is the guy to rebut.
6 out of their last 9 games and 4 out of their last 6 are on the road. They have a lot of games early in the season at home. That's a distinct disadvantage to the Packers, who love to claim fame to their frozen tundra being such a home field advantage. Their last 2 home games are against Carolina and the Bears, so you can chalk up their last 2 home games being losses. So it's going to be a fun year.
It's going to be a very fun year. All right, Michael, stick with us. We're going to move on to the next game on the schedule. November 24th, the week before Thanksgiving, the Bears are playing at Soldier Field against the New York Giants. Shayne Marsaw, give me your thoughts about that game.
I think this is the week that you see the rookie quarterback, either Daniel Jones or Dwayne Haskins, making their debut for the New York Football Giants. And the Eli Manning era is over. I wouldn't be surprised at all. That's usually around the time that you see it, and not a big believer in Eli moving forward at this point, but you got to get your young pup, whoever they draft, and I think the Giants definitely have to go quarterback with one of their first rounders this year, and you want to get them some play. I mean, this is a team that's in transition in the Giants, and this is a game that the Bears can't go out and lay flat. This is a game that they absolutely should win. And if you're going to be a legit Super Bowl contender, you can't go out and lay flat for a game like this. Every game matters, and we were talking about these pivotal games against the Saints and against the Eagles. You go out there and you win a couple of those, and then you play the Giants at Soldier Field and lay down flat. You just can't have that happen.
Well, this is a rematch of that Bears-Giants game that took place at the Meadowlands last year, and the Bears, without Mitchell Trubisky, could not beat the Giants, although the quarterback, what the hell's his name, Chase Daniels, he had a horrible first half, and then he tried to stage a miraculous comeback and had some kind of glory-like moments, but couldn't pull it off. Badge, who are the Giants playing the week before that Bears game?
Giants are coming off their bye, so they'll be nice and fully rested and ready to.
Makes even more sense for the rookie quarterback.
Yeah, good point.
Absolutely. He'll have extra time to prepare. That game last year, being in attendance, I mean, Mitch plays that game, forget it. That's we're walking away. Maybe not easy, but easy enough.
Michael Halatek, you're not only in the ticket business, but you're also a historian of the Chicago Bears. When you'll see the Bears and Giants on the schedule, what thoughts come to you?
Well, the last time the Bears won an NFC title game previous to the Super Bowl era was in 1963, when the Bears beat the Giants at Wrigley Field 14-10, courtesy of two Billy Wade quarterback sneaks and a couple of key interceptions, one by Ed Obradovich and the other by Larry Morris. The Bears lead the series all time. I'm surprised that they haven't played more games than this, but they've actually only played 51 times in the regular season. Bears hold a 28-21 advantage with two ties. I'm real excited about this game. I know that there's no such thing as revenge, but I'm sure there's a lot of Bears in that locker room that really want to put up a good effort against the Giants after what happened last year.
And they especially want to shut down Saquon Barkley. Isn't that right, Danny? Because Barkley had a really good second half against the Bears last season.
He did. Barkley had a pretty good game. But another guy who had a decent game was Odell Beckham Jr., and of course he won't be on this team this year. So this is definitely a team that's in my opinion, rebuilding. I think they're just going to be going young, and I think Shane brought up a good point. I don't know if they'll put out the rookie quarterback against this defense, but it's probably a good time to put him up. Coming off a bye week, so if they are starting a rookie versus our Bears defense, it's even more positive in Chicago's case there. So there's definitely a game that Bears should win, and I think they will win handily.
All right, 4 days later, on November 28th, the Bears have to travel up to Detroit for the Thanksgiving Day game, 11:30 Central, against the Detroit Lions. It's a rematch of last year's Thanksgiving game that the Bears won with Chase Daniel at quarterback. Danny, your thoughts on that game? Do you think that the Bears should have an easy time of this game, or is it going to be more of a challenge?
Well, traditionally, the Lions are always a tough opponent on Thanksgiving, especially at home. So do we just start putting Chase Daniels just see it's continues 2 years in a row and just give Mitch but no. So but seriously, I think the Lions, depending on how their season goes, if they are struggling, having a rough go at it, I do see them maybe coming up for this game and because they always, like I said, always play well at home on Thanksgiving Day. So whether their Lions are competitive or not, I think this is going to be a tough game, especially on the road, especially early on Thanksgiving Day.
Badge, what's going on with the Lions the previous Sunday? Where they're at?
They are actually in Washington, taking on the Redskins. A 1 o'clock start time, so kind of early. This is again that similar to last year where the Bears played 3 games in 12 days. I think this is 3 and 13. To me, I have a little bit of a problem with that, with the NFL doing this 2 years in a row. Not that I don't think we can handle it, because clearly we were able to do it last year, but it's odd that right around the same time frame is when this happened last year as well. So I don't think it's a tough one for the Bears, but short rest, I mean, hopefully we're not playing Chase Daniel.
Michael Halatek, the following week, we've got probably one for the record books. It'll be the first time the Chicago Bears are going to be on Amazon. That game is going to be also on the NFL Network and Fox, but Amazon has now joined in on that deal. It's the Cowboys and Bears on Thursday night. Your thoughts on that game, Michael?
I love the fact that they're playing back-to-back Thursdays because it sets them up well for the next game we're going to talk about, which should be extremely fun. Dallas is a tough opponent, always has been. It's nice to see them at home. Dallas is one of the teams. I was talking a little bit earlier about some interesting quirks in the Bears' schedule. Of course, with 6 games being against divisional opponents, they play 13 games, they play against 13 teams. They play 6 against teams with whom they've had a winning record, 6 with whom they have a losing record, and 1 that they're absolutely dead even tied in. They're not far behind. It's ironic that Dallas and the Bears have only played 24 regular season games in the history of the league, and Dallas currently owns a 13 to an 11 advantage against the Bears. They have played a few times in postseason play. One, they played twice. They lost them both. One was the 1977 miracle year that Peyton led the team on his back, and they got trounced. And the other one was the infamous Tommy Waddle game where he was beat to a pulp but had like 20 catches in the game. This sets up well for the Bears for the rest of the year. I know that it's difficult getting these 3 games in 12 or 13 days, but Dallas does it every year. Detroit does it every year. So the Bears are doing it 2 years in a row, and they certainly showed that they could do it and do it well last year. And I see no reason to believe that they won't be able to do well against both Detroit and Dallas in back-to-back weeks on Thursday night.
Badge, who are the Cowboys playing on that previous Sunday, which would be, I think, December 1st or 2nd?
They have the Buffalo Bills. So
at Dallas?
2 of our that's a home game.
Okay.
So 2 of our opponents get the Bills before us. The other, the Eagles. So
let's hope that the Buffalo Bills are going to bring some firepower this year to beat up on some of our opponents here. Any thoughts, Danny, on this Cowboys team before we move on and talk about the Packers again?
I think this is going to be a fun matchup, guys. Quietly, I think Dallas has done a real nice job of retooling their team, both offensively and defensively, and especially on defense. So I think this is going to be a defense that's predicated on speed and quickness, and I think it's going to be a formidable challenge for Mitch and the offense to kind of scheme and go ahead and take on. So I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup of 2 teams that are relatively young and up and coming, if you will, especially on defense for both sides.
Shayne, take us from Dallas to 10 days later at Green Bay, December 15th. Your thoughts on those 2 teams?
Well, maybe Green Bay starting their new rookie quarterback too, right?
That would be nice.
Perfect.
Oh,
Put the
sorry,
Bears
Mr.
clinch in the
Rat.
division.
Yeah. No,
I'm sure the Bears would love to see Deshaun Kaiser again.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. I think, Mike, you can probably speak more to this a little better than I can. But when's the last day game in Lambeau? I mean, I think of Devin Hester's rookie year when he returned that punt. I think the Bears won 26-0. But when was it? I mean, it's been quite a long time since we've had a day game in Lambeau.
I don't know if that's the last time, but that was the first game of the year back in 2006. I was actually at that game, and I've got some great photos of that very return. The Bears and the Packers, you guys started this way before I was able to get on. The Bears and the Packers have played on opening day 7 times since 1980. Does anybody remember the 1980 game?
I do not.
If I said the name Chester Markle, does that bring back any memories?
Yes, and I'm mad at you for bringing up that memory.
The Bears have only played the Packers on opening day at home 1 time since 1980.
Oh.
The game that Devin Hester had his first game as a rookie and his first punt return for a touchdown is the only time that they've won on opening day since 1980 against the Packers. I think you're right. I can't remember the last time that the Bears and the Packers played at Lambeau Field and it wasn't a night game. Maybe it was no, it was actually the year before when Rex Grossman, they won on Christmas Eve. That was also a day game.
All right. In the interest of time, I'm going to move forward to the December 22nd game. That is a big game. NBC will have it as their Sunday night game. The Kansas City Chiefs will be at Soldier Field. There's obviously going to be a lot of talk about Patrick Mahomes versus Mitch Trubisky. Danny Shimon, your thoughts on this quarterback matchup? That's got to be a marquee matchup. We know what Mahomes did last year. We anticipate that he probably will not be able to maintain that same pace now that defensive coordinators have looked at the film and should be able to contain him a little bit more than he did last year. And, of course, we're expecting bigger things out of Mitch Trubisky. This should be a great matchup for fans.
Exactly. You nailed it right on the head there. Not only the two quarterbacks, same draft class. Hopefully, Trubisky is going to be able to keep up in terms of numbers with Mahomes this season. But also, it's going to be the other matchup is going to be the teacher, Andy Reid, versus the pupil, and Matt Nagy. So that's going to be hyped up as well. Definitely. I mean, the Chiefs right now are going through a little bit of a rebuild on their defense. They're changing from a 3-4 to a 4-3 scheme. They brought in Steve Spagnuolo as a new defensive coordinator, so that's going to be a little bit of a transition. But this will be later on this season, so any sort of slow start or whatnot defensively should at this point for them they should have gone over that hump. So it should be a very entertaining game. If it is a shootout, let's us see how the Bears and Trubisky if they can keep pace with the high-powered Chiefs offense.
Yeah, I just can't imagine that game being a shootout with the Bears defense in late December. Isn't that right, Badge? I see you shaking your head.
I don't think so either.
Badge, who do the Chiefs have the week prior? Are they going to come in banged up? Tell me they're playing a really good team.
Yeah, they're playing the Denver Broncos, so they definitely could come in banged up. They had a couple good matchups with them over the years, so definitely could come in banged up. And I don't see it being a shootout. I'm going to say a name, Mike Davis. I see him running the shit out of the ball.
Nice. Shayne, do you think that the fact that the Chiefs are facing Vic Fangio the week prior and then facing the Chicago Bears defense, do you think that could be a little bit of an advantage to the Chiefs?
I don't think so, because I think that they're going to be distinctly different in their approach. I think Pagano's going to be, or I'm hoping he's going to be much more aggressive on the defensive side of the ball, where Vic is just kind of a let your front four get there, and we'll sit back. But no, this is going to be very interesting because who knows how these seasons unfold. Injuries obviously play a huge factor when you're talking this late in the season. If Kansas City is running away with their division, who knows what's are they going to be resting some guys? Same thing with Chicago. Not saying that they're definitely going to run away. Nobody knows, but that's also going to be a factor in these late season games. And I mean, Matt Nagy showed that he's not going to do that, but Andy Reid has been a guy that has done that, and I think it is a key factor. You talk about Kansas City switching up their defense a little bit. They should be starting to gel, obviously, this late into the season. But don't forget the Chicago moving into year 2 with this offense. These guys should, in my book, hit the ground running in week 1. And if they're healthy, hopefully, you're talking, this late in the season, week 16, they, if for whatever strange reason they did get into a shootout and they started scoring on the Chicago Bears defense, hey, let's see. This is why you brought Matt Nagy here. This is why you invested in Mitch Trubisky. This is why you went out and got Allen Robinson and Tariq Cohen and the guys that they're going to bring in this draft. So it's definitely a Hollywood type glitz and glamour matchup. But these late season games, I tend to side with defense, and Chicago wins there in spades.
All right, Badge, we've got to wrap things up quickly here, but I want you to tell us, In this final regular season game on December 29th, the Bears have to travel to Minnesota. Tell me what the Vikings' schedule over the last 3 weeks prior to that game is. I want to get a sense of, what kind of a team we're going to be facing.
So they've got Detroit at home, then they go to San Diego, and then home for Green Bay before they play us. So that Chargers game, tough. Always playing Green Bay is going to be tough for them, and even Detroit as well. So that's a tough test for the Vikings.
Yes, it is. I don't think that they're facing as quite a difficult 3 weeks prior than the Bears are, but the Bears are a much better team, in my opinion. And so hopefully by the time that game happens on December 29th against the Vikings, the Bears will be coasting and already have that division title locked up. Michael Halatek, you're in the ticket business. As you look at this schedule, what are going to be the big ticket items? What are going to be the calls that you're going to get and say, can you please get me to this game? What are those big items that you want to talk about?
Well, I tell you what, before I got on the show, I am on the Bears season ticket waiting list, so I have that priority time where you can go and buy tickets before they open tickets to the public at 8 o'clock, which just passed. I hate to tell everybody who's listening in that the Packer game is already sold out. It was sold out at 7:05 this evening. So that's obviously going to be a huge ticket. The Kansas City game, the Dallas game. Dallas has got fans all over the country like the Bears do. They're all going to be hot tickets. I would wait until maybe July. Mm-hmm. Because you'll have some people dumping tickets into the market because of work schedules or whatnot before you go on to, and I'm telling you not to go to my site and buy tickets right now because they're going to be extremely high. Wait until the summer when people start to panic and the ticket prices go down. But overall, this is just a great schedule for the Bears. It's a great schedule for ticket brokers like StubHub and SeatGeek. And there's this one ticket outlet called TixBlitz that doesn't charge you any service fees, so make sure you go there. I got to tell you, Aldo, this is going to be an exciting year for the Bears. We talked a little bit about interesting quirks in the schedule. Here's a little trivia for you. The Bears play the AFC West. They have beaten every single team in the AFC West exactly 7 times. I don't think I've ever seen that before. They have 7-5 records against Kansas City and San Diego. They've played Denver 15 times, and they're 7-8 against them, and they're 7-7 against Oakland. So all in all, guys, with what we've got at home, it's going to be an amazing schedule. They're there just about every other week, so they're never going to be out of sight, out of mind. And getting back to what you were talking about with our other partners for the Kansas City game, can't wait to see that game because Nagy is going to have Trubisky so ready for that game. Do you recall what the Bears did to Kansas City in the 3rd preseason game last year, Aldo?
They whipped them pretty good.
They kicked their ass, and Trubisky didn't play.
That's right.
Chase Daniels played and lit Kansas City's starting defense. And Kansas City's starting defense played into the 3rd quarter. And the Bears were playing subs almost throughout the entire game. They rested most of their starters. Kevin White, that was a great route that Kevin White ran on that play. And well, it is what it is, guys. We had him. We couldn't develop him because of injuries and everything else. I wish him nothing but the best. But look at what the Bears have at wide receiver today compared to what they had. Let's go back all the way to when Cutler was first come to the Bears in 10 years ago. And look at the wide receivers that Trubisky has that Cutler didn't have. It's going to be a fun year. They're going to be just crazy. And watch out for Cordero Patterson, guys. He's going to be that cog that really, he's going to be the swizzle stick that stirs the rest of the drink for the Bears offense. You can mark my words. You got Cohen that can do what he can do, but Patterson can run through people. He can run routes. He's fast. And we've got a dangerous kickoff returner that we probably haven't had. When was the last time we had a kickoff return man that struck fear in the hearts of the opponents? Look what he did last year.
Yep.
He's running kickoffs for touchdowns against all odds. The league is basically taking the kick return out of the game anymore. And this guy has scored more touchdowns at Soldier Field than any Bears returner since Devin Hester.
There is quite a lot more to talk about regarding the schedule, and maybe we need to have another party this week or sometime soon just to talk about the schedule, talk about the Chicago Bears. Michael Halatek, thank you very much for joining us. Tell fans again your website and your Twitter handle, because even if you're advising them, and that's not good business, by the way, Michael, but even if you're advising them not to go over to Tick Splits and buy some tickets, it shows just what kind of a guy that you are, that you're looking for fans to get the best value. So tell fans again where they can go.
It's Tick Splits, TIXBLITZ.com, and it's at Tick Splits on Twitter. And don't forget, I don't sell just Bears tickets. It's every ticket, every venue, everywhere. Sports, concerts, Broadway. I was on with Mike North tweeting just 2 days ago that you could have bought tickets to the White Sox game Tuesday afternoon. There were almost 100 tickets that were on Tick Splits for less than $10. We've got $6 billion of ticket inventory on a daily basis at TickSplits.com. And if you're buying from StubHub or SeatGeek or Vivid Seats, you're getting gouged with service fees, and there are absolutely zero service fees at Tick Splits. So if you haven't tried us, give us a shout. I guarantee you'll never go back to the big guys.
Sounds great, Michael. Thank you very much for joining us. Guys, I want to go around the table real quick and get a last word from each of you regarding the schedule. I'm going to give you a minute. Ryan Badgley, let me start with you. You've surveyed what the other teams are doing, and thanks for all your hard work for that. Just give me your general thoughts about this schedule.
I love it. It's a test in some places, really a test. It's going to show what we're made of. I'm ready. Now that it's out, let's go. I'm ready. Let's get these games going. I'm ready for training camp. Let's do this. Bear down.
Sweet. Danny Shimon. We're still looking for a nickname for Danny, so send those in. Danny, what do you think about the schedule?
Apparently Shayne didn't do his homework. He didn't give me my nickname. So.
I actually forgot about that.
Look at that.
He's not saying anything about you personally that you're forgettable.
But just going back to what I said in the start of the show is I like the fact they start off with the Packers, a primetime game. A division opponent, rivalry game, get the juices flowing early. They are going to be the hunted now instead of the hunter. So it's a good way to start it off. And then, of course, take on Fangio and the Broncos the following week. But that week 7 through 11, that stretch right there, I think is going to be a key section of the Bears season. If how they go through those 5 games, I think will determine how they come out of it. After that stretch, will determine how they end up, I think, within the division. So those are some tough games they got there with the Saints, Chargers, Eagles, Lions, and Rams. But at least 3 of those 5 are going to be at home. So if they continue to play as well as they played last season at Soldier Field, I think they should come out of that stretch pretty in good shape.
Shayne, you may be the smartest man in the room, but it seemed like every time you commented on a game, it was pure emotion. Your thoughts on this schedule?
That's what this NFL is all about, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it is. And, I'll talk about something that I mentioned earlier in the show. And whenever anybody was talking, national pundits, local beat guys were talking about the 2019 Bears, it was always, but look at that schedule. I don't care who it is. I want the top teams, the best teams in the NFL to play the Bears because I believe in this team. I think we're going in the right direction. And you know what? We're not doormats anymore. I think these guys are saying to themselves, oh, shit, we got to come to Chicago. You know, oh yeah, Chicago's coming here. This isn't just going to be a gimme game anymore. I look forward to facing the Saints, to going to Philly. I'm excited about it. Like I said, it's going to be great for our young quarterback. It's going to be great for Matt Nagy. This defense has another year to gel. We haven't even hit the draft yet, and you know, bring them on. I'm not afraid of anybody in the NFL. I'm really not with this team. They can go out, they can lose to anybody, and they can go out and they can damn well beat anybody, and that's what this is all about. I think the Bears, you know, looking at this, it's a 11-5, 12-4 season on the way to the playoffs, and I think we're going to make some noise. I said last year, you know, I really felt like if we got by Philly, we were going to do it, and we're going to kick the fucking door down this year.
I love
Got
it.
a different field goal kicker, and that's where we're heading places. I really believe it.
Hell yeah.
I do have a quick thought to share about the schedule. This is the schedule that the NFL draws up for a team that the nation is going to love. The amount of primetime games, 5 and possibly more. The amount of Thursday games, the Thanksgiving game, and on, everything points to the Chicago Bears being a hot ticket item, not only to see them in person, but to see them on television. This league is in love with what the Chicago Bears are building, and we are in love with these Chicago Bears. Stick with us at the Bears Barroom Radio Network. We're going to have another show dedicated to this schedule, and we'll do it after the draft. That way we can take a look at each of these teams and see who they've added in the draft, and we'll get a pretty good idea of what their roster will look like, and we'll go in depth again and make sure that it's longer than an hour long. I want to thank everybody that appeared on the show, including Michael Halatek of TickSplits. Visit his site, ticksplits.com. Ryan Badgley doing a great job with the assist here. Ryan is somebody on the Bears Barroom Radio Network you're going to hear much more of. I'm looking at this nice and snazzy new microphone. Nice going there.
Thank you. Heck yeah.
Nice. And Shayne, the smartest man in the barroom, is always here at the barroom serving drinks in his smarts. And Danny Shimon, who never allows us to see his face on Skype. We don't know if it's because he's in his underwear. We don't know if he's naked. We don't know what's going on over there. But nonetheless, we appreciate his knowledge. Listen, remember, if you
I'll let
drink...
you guys draw a picture.
No. Hell no. Remember, if you drink, please do not drive. And always, say it with me, fellas, bear down!
12-4.